What's going on, everybody? I wanted to do a video update of where I'm currently at progress wise. I already uploaded a video on YouTube this past Monday, but then I accidentally deleted it trying to put it into a playlist, so that's awesome. But currently I'm at 32 weeks out, 34 weeks out, and 36 weeks out. I started my contest prep on September 2nd, and being away from the stage for 18 months, I'm definitely ready to step through the process of going through a contest prep. I feel like, I've made some significant progress in my physique, my mentality. Physiologically, I feel healthy. There's a lot of great things going on. I've been able to experience some really good things these past 18 months away from the stage, versus if I didn't take that time away, I know that I wouldn't have had these experiences. And being able to coach other people in their journeys is one of them. Being able to spend a little bit more time with my wife, that's very important. And also being able to develop in a way that I've never been able to develop, and being able to compete in my first USPA powerlifting meet mid-August, this past August. What a great experience to share the platform with really good friends that compete in like bodybuilding or physique competitions, but also meeting new people. And it's such a supportive, positive energy atmosphere that I felt like I belonged. And it was great to see other people just give it their all and are just passionate about what they're doing in a different atmosphere. And so what a great learning experience. Now I can translate that into a contest prep, and using that same mentality that I've built up throughout the course of 18 months and put that towards a contest prep. I feel like I'm more ready than I have ever been in the years previous. And so just to give you some reference points of where I started. So my last contest prep for 2015, I started 28 weeks out, and I got down from 171 pounds down to 100, and my prep low was like 144 or 143, and I weighed in at 147.8 after like carbing back up. And so I was one of the lightest people on stage back then. And so since then I am currently, when I started prep I was 193.5, but I would kind of range between 193.5 to 194, 194.5. And so my macros were 300 gram protein, 300 gram carb, and 120 grams fat. And some will ask, now these are legit questions, some will ask, why is your protein so high during your building phase when you can lower that and increase on your carbs? Or why don't you drop your fats a little bit lower so you can have more carbs? And personally, I feel like it's all opinion on where your macros should be personally, when it comes down to how my body runs. I honestly, it didn't matter where my macro percentages were, as long as my protein was at a good level. Fats and carbs were a little bit more variable, and I've tried low fat, high carb. I've done moderate fat, moderate carb. I've done lower carb, higher fat, and keeping protein relatively moderate. And at the end of the day, my calories overall were still low. Like, they were still at like 1,800 calories by the end of all my preps. So it really didn't matter at that point. But personally, the reason why 300 gram protein was instituted was because my recovery peaking for powerlifting meet wasn't as great. It was, my fatigue was definitely building up. So we want to test the waters. increase protein to about 300 grams, and see how my body responded. And I was like, okay, so we sacrificed some carbs to up my protein, and that's totally fine. I didn't feel it as far as hunger, but my recovery definitely started to get better. So you can call it anecdotal, but honestly, like, I felt so much better. And my hunger wasn't there, my energy was still really good, my performance in the gym still really good. And this is the highest my fats has ever been, was like 120. And honestly, like, I don't like having high fat. And so like, I'm so used to having lower fats that it's so hard for me to fill in the gaps. So sometimes I just have to like pound like coconut oil. I have to put them in my shakes. I gotta like cook with it all the time. Like, I gotta add a lot of fats into like stuff that I would never do. So it's an interesting experience, but my hunger level is, because of the high fat, higher protein, is just like non-existent. I'm not hungry. So starting my prep, we changed up the macros because we're going to capitalize and be a little aggressive. We're going to capitalize on healthy hormones, and trying to dig when your hormones are already depleted or dropping and decreasing as you get deeper into prep. Let's go ahead and capitalize them on now and really push in the beginning, and then as progress slows down, we can ease off the pedal a little bit, and then possibly institute some diet breaks, and that way I can push even further and go into the unknown. So current macros is at 225 gram carb, 300 gram protein, and 100 grams of fat. And so once again, people will say, why don't you just sacrifice fat for more carbs or whatever? Do something to increase your carbs for performance. Honestly, my performance has not decreased this past week, and in the gym, and I've still been able to lift fairly heavy and hit all my lifts without any failed lifts. So I'm feeling really good. My hunger is at bay. Like, I'm not hungry. I am getting to the point though where I need to eat. I feel it, like, but once I eat, I'm good. I'm satisfied. I don't feel hungry. It's more so that my body is kind of getting into a rhythm now. It's getting into a routine where it expects food at certain times of the day, which is a good thing. And I started off I weighed myself Friday morning, 193.5. Currently today, Thursday, I am 191.6. So I'm down 1.9 pounds. And so only, 6 days roughly into prep. And so that's a good progression. I wouldn't have expected a big drop. Especially if it was a bigger drop, it would have just been fluid or water retention. My sodium levels are fairly high. I try to keep it around 4,500 to 60, like 6,000 milligrams. During my last prep, I got up to 9 to 10 grams of sodium towards the end of my prep, and I was drinking about 2.5 gallons of water a day. So I would expect the same, that my sodium levels will continue to uptick and water will begin to uptick. I'm already beginning to feel thirstier, like I'm thirstier, if that makes sense. Like I go over a gallon, and now I'm gonna probably bump it up to 1.5 gallons now, just because I'm so thirsty all the time. So feeling really good, and I already have the shows in line. I'll share that with everybody as I get deeper into prep. But the reason why I chose shows that were like pretty much back to back is that for me, it's gonna help my psyche to know that I only have to be at my peak conditioning for roughly 1.5 months versus doing a show, waiting another month, and then doing another one. Just feeling like that's mentally taxing to be that lean, and for that period of time. Now there's certain individuals that can hold that, but for me, I know my mentality is going to be very much tested the longer and longer I am at peak condition. So that's just from my personal experience from years previous. So that's why I stacked them in 2-week increments. That way I can peak, have time to peak even that much better leading into each show. But I'll be posting a lot more about my progress, what I'm eating, even do some grocery trips on, especially when I get lower macros, and then also training, you know, what that looks like. I'm really excited just to document this whole process, because since I've taken this much time away, I'm excited to see how my body, you know, changes and improves in a different way. And so appreciate all the support with everything. And so if there's any questions, by all means put them in the comments and I will definitely respond appropriately. But just stay tuned.